Hello, welcome back to Level 1 News. We're doing a rare early morning recording time, which maybe doesn't matter as much. Today we're doing government and social news, but first, a package.
Some kind soul has made sure that my mother has a lifetime supply of peanut butter. Look at this.
So much.
Look at this.
Those are the big things, too. Yeah. They're not like the little baby jars.
$100 of peanut butter.
Now, you say lifetime supply, but at the current consumption pace, what is it actually?
January.
190 calories per serving. There are 34 servings in each jar.
How many ounces a serving? One?
Serving size, 2 tablespoons.
Well, she has about 4 servings per sandwich, so.
It does seem ridiculous when it's all laid out like that.
These just appeared on the stoop, correct?
Yes, there's a note at like 5:30 in the morning, and the AI was like, I'm 12% sure that's a baby. And it's like, no, AI, that's not a baby. Okay, it's a bag of burning poop then. No, it's not a bag of burning poop either. Blakely. It's like, I hope this finds you well. I've watched you for your show for some time and wanted you to show my appreciation in a meaningful way. Well, it is very meaningful. Thank you. Circumstances have enabled me to do so now without the burden to myself or my family, and please accept this gift of peanut butter and soda. Thank you. A majority of it being for your mother, whatever, if your mom goes that you may like. Okay, I can barely read this, so but
yeah,
thank you.
It's in cursive, so.
But it's not the serial killer scrawl that you might think.
No, it's a very lovely script.
Yeah, decent penmanship.
So this is Hannaford Brothers is in the picture. It says crafted locally orange soda.
And we don't know what locally is though, because this person's not from here.
Made with pure cane sugar. Scarborough ME. Oh, it's one of the ME states. There's like Maine and Minnesota.
Maine, right?
Minnesota.
Is Maine?
I don't know.
Because MA is Massachusetts.
Yeah,
right?
I think ME is Maine.
This is definitely one we've not seen before.
Yeah. 180 calories a bottle, so I'm gonna be wired. And it's the twist top, which is nice. Strong carbonation smell, but not a strong orange smell.
And this is a 10:30 in the morning orange soda.
Yeah, so we're doing an early morning recording because one has to go to the airport later.
Is it the first of the day?
Yes it is. I haven't even had any coffee today.
You haven't
wow.
had anything?
Mm-mm.
Wow. Breaking the fast with the orange soda. It's dedication.
We've taken 2 sips now, and you're still like contemplating.
This is delicious. It's like at 180 calories. I was expecting it to taste sugary. This is dangerous because it doesn't taste sugary at all, and it's a very, very light, very hint. It's the hint of orange that I like, not like the overpowering like orange zest.
What's the venue for this drink?
Oh, this is an everyday drink.
Oh,
I bet price-wise, this is not an everyday drink.
Probably not.
did you find the price on the carton or?
No. It looks like a pretty
Yeah.
fancy soda.
You don't get this in a 12-pack of cans.
Exactly. If it comes in a 4-pack, you're going to be paying for it in most cases.
It says it's good until the 15th of April, 2023. So
You have one per year.
I don't know. Ingredients: triple filtered carbonated water, cane sugar, citric acid, paprika.
Paprika?
That's interesting.
These guys are crazy.
Orleacin.
Wait, paprika is the 4th ingredient? That's a lot.
Yeah.
Sodium citrate, ascorbic acid, gum oxida, orange oil, and other natural flavors, and then ester gum.
So it's got more paprika than citrus flavor.
Now that I know that it's paprika, that does work.
That's interesting.
That is.
I mean, paprika is delicious. So, I mean, I'm kind of cool with it, but I wouldn't
I've
think to pair
already
it with
had
orange.
half the bottle. Yeah, this is a dangerous drink
You
because
didn't give it a grade, though.
this is an A+.
Wow.
I think that is the record.
Yes.
Wow.
The perfect soda, and it's only available in Maine.
Blakely, with his mad 5 a.m. delivery, has found the #1 orange soda.
This really is the #1 orange soda.
Now get a big handful of that peanut butter and judge that. Just keep one hand covered in peanut butter the entire time and just...
I'm learning not to touch my face because of the pandemic, so it's like
You're a little late to the party, aren't you?
It's been 2 years, and I'm still mastering it.
No, it's too precious to use even for the joke.
I can see you at the airport later, just your face is covered in peanut butter.
Wait, that's not mine.
Whose phone is that?
That's just a random one.
Oh, I was like, where did that come from? I didn't think it was yours, but I wasn't sure.
Well, also we're interested to know that we didn't do orange soda for a while.
We didn't.
And now we've brought it back.
We have a few different orange sodas. We'll try it. It's special. I'm glad we did.
We didn't stop doing it for any particular reason. I think we just got busy and forgot it a couple times. But let us know what you think about the renewed orange sodas.
Anyway.
And can anybody?
Don't forget about Devember. You got to join that.
I mean, the bar is set, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, wow. It's going to be tough for future unknown creepers to leave things on the doorstep. They can be better than this. And let's talk about the Justice Department and the government in general. They are stepping in because of a very, very disgusting business practice. I don't know if they were doing this on purpose, but it seems like after the first time, someone would be like, hey, we should do something about this because this is going to really look bad.
The Wall Street Journal reports that the Justice Department is suing Uber over charging wait time fees for disabled people. So if you have a wheelchair, it's going to take you a few extra minutes to get in the car. Uber has capitalized on that. That's not okay under the Americans with Disabilities law. They should know better. And for it to get to the point where the Justice Department is suing you means that you have been egregiously bad.
I can't believe that they have that as like a thing. And there was never a moment where like Uber's lawyers were like, hey, just as an FYI, if we do this, like we're going to get into legal trouble. Do you think someone got that notification was like, whatever? You
got to explain, Krista, because we didn't talk about that. What the reason is because when you order an Uber, after the driver hits I'm here, a timer starts.
Yeah.
And how much was it, like 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Something like 2 minutes. If you're not there in 2 minutes in the car and the drive doesn't start, you get charged an extra fee. Now, if an Uber for a disabled person, like if they need a wheelchair, the van's going to have like the ramp and everything, or the lift, right? But those lifts are really slow.
Yeah.
How long do you think it takes a lift to go from one extreme to the other? Actually, it has to come out and go back in. That's probably a minute, right?
Yeah, at least a minute. Probably more like 90 seconds for one operation, one side of that operation.
Speed run.
It does seem like it was just built in to charge them more.
Oops.
I don't know if that was an oops. I think that was by design.
Well, I'm sure it was an oops in the beginning because I wouldn't have thought about that if I was building that software. I would have thought, man, this is nasty.
Yeah, but the first time it happened, they had plenty of time to implement it.
This is not the first time they've heard about this.
Yeah.
I bet there's one guy who's been emailing them every day.
Yeah.
Disgusting. And unfortunately, it doesn't affect a lot of people, so it doesn't necessarily get a lot of attention. But here's something that affects everybody, and it still won't get a lot of attention.
The U.S. Treasury, a government institution, is buying private app data to target and investigate people. Why would they buy such app data? Well, it's because it would be illegal for them to collect that data in the first place.
So if they think that you're dodging a sanction, like maybe you're sending some Bitcoin to a ransomware country that's been sanctioned, or if you're dodging taxes, they do not like that. If they suspect either of those things, then they will go out and spend money to track you down. And nearly impossible to not be caught up in this net because they don't have to follow rules.
I really wouldn't mind this if it would result in like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk paying more taxes, but that's not what it's going to result in.
But they are not illegally dodging taxes. It is totally legal what they're doing. Reprehensible, perhaps, but perfectly legal.
It's almost like people who have that kind of money can buy laws so that they can keep those loopholes.
Did you see? I don't know why, like my Google News thinks that I have a mixture of like old person interest and teen girl interest. And maybe I do. But the really super popular streamer, the boob streamer, her name starts with an A. She bought a gas station and she tweeted the rich person magic that she used. She bought a $4 million gas station for $1 million, borrowed the other $3 million with no taxes until she sells it and leased it to Citgo.
That sounds about right, based on some of the things I've been reading lately.
That's incredible. She's pretty smart.
She's got a good accountant, I think, is what's happening there. Maybe not, though. I mean, maybe she's brilliant. But it seems like, maybe we could catch those kinds of things, right?
That would be nice.
That seems wrong that she should be able to get away with that. Perhaps we could bring a robot in to look for those people, but that's not what the government is doing. The government is saying, maybe we should stop with the robots. We don't know what's going to happen.
Exclusive, this new bipartisan bill takes aim at algorithms. It's looking at places like where you're watching this video and Twitter and things like that, and they're saying, hey, what led to the selection of content that you see? It wasn't choices that you made. It was an algorithm that was trying to drive engagement, where engagement could be outrage, or engagement could be, this is the most WTF thing I've ever seen. Whatever.
A
whatever
high
gets your
dislike
attention.
ratio. Oh,
Yeah.
wait.
Well, I mean, that actually could be a thing. Not anymore.
Yeah. So that is literally all of TikTok's business model, right? What does TikTok offer other than that algorithm?
It is the algorithm.
So if you can turn, now that is one of the things they want in this bill. They want you to be able to go into a setting and just turn that off. And I guess you just get an alphabetical list of content. I don't know how it sorts it after that.
Maybe by post date. Man, that would be strange, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be weird. Although it could be fun just to explore that once in a while. Yeah.
Probably a lot of cat videos, a lot of dog videos.
I have a feeling the social media people have too much of a lobby presence. I don't think that'll get anywhere.
No.
I don't know. It is popular to attack them. We often see the people who do ransomwares and hacking and stuff like that. We figure out who they are. We charge them. We don't always get them.
U.S. charges Ukrainian and Russian in major ransomware spree and seizes $6 million. Oh, $6 million, big headline. That's not all of it. That's only a very tiny fraction of it. These people might have just been the people that actually hired the criminals that actually did the work. And their part of it was just $6 million. Because isn't there like $100 million in play? Or
Well, I don't think they claim to have gotten all of the money. They just managed to get a hold of a server where I guess it was in transit.
yeah,
something.
and two of the people. But we're actually going to talk more about that, I think, in the business section. This is the international operation part of it. That's the same thing.
Oh, right, because there was some U.S. specific stuff that went on there.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I put that, to be honest.
This one was the Kaseya one, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
They blend. There's so many ransomware attacks and hacking events.
Yeah.
It really is hard to.
We've also had some really good law enforcement wins in terms of like the whole international cooperation and like we're going to go after those guys and blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think they're all, because like last week, they all are admitting they're like, we don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
We're going to have to work together. Well, we all know that 5G is killing us. And
I don't know what you're talking about. My reception is better than ever.
Oh, no. Because those spike proteins are just like broadcasting, or, they're receiving the kill signals, and they're going after your mitochondria.
I'm going to go in my sleep. Yeah.
Obviously. But that is
Not
not.
doing what you loved.
Who doesn't love sleeping?
That's the point.
What if there's one guy that hates sleeping? It's a terrible existence. But that's not the only problem that 5G is causing. It's not just boiling our blood. It might be bringing down our planes.
The FAA to take regulatory action over 5G altimeter interference. So there's a certain type of altimeter that uses radio signals, radar, and it may be that some of the 5G frequencies interfere with that. So we got to make sure that all the aircraft have a modern altimeter in them.
This is a known issue. Other countries have chosen not to put 5G towers within a certain radius of airports. Here in the good old US of A, no such directive.
Well, there's 3 different frequencies for 5G. We could just avoid one of the problem frequencies, but no, we're too stupid.
I don't think that the phone companies would follow that rule.
Probably not.
Well, last week we had a bevy of crypto stories about people in government, usually more local government, trying to get their towns sort of on the map as crypto towns. And they just keep going with it.
New York's incoming mayor says that crypto should be taught in schools. Yeah, right behind balancing your checkbook and understanding how insane credit card interest rates are.
But they don't teach either of those things in schools.
But they're not talking about, they're talking about teaching you how to create a wallet and move money. They're not talking about teaching cryptography.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should strive for.
It seems like, well, yeah, he had no specifics about what age group and stuff would be learning it. And then the news anchor was like, can you give like a 30-second breakdown of like what you mean and like explain it? And he was like, no one can do that. And I was like, oh, okay.
The metaverse. Isn't that the metaverse?
Yeah, no one can, you can't explain
Can't
it in 30
define
seconds.
it?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That's the beauty of it.
I'm going to turn our children's artwork into NFTs and fund our school system.
This is the same guy who was taking his pay in crypto, I believe.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah.
That was Miami, New York. and I think there was one more.
I mean, all this just seems like idiocracy. I wish that Mike Judge had the terms like, NFT and tokens and like that was well understood to put in idiocracy, because it would have been amazing.
I think at that point all cryptography breaks down, right?
Yeah.
Because there's nobody left to do the hard part. Well, we talked about in recent weeks the school software is terrible. People hate it because it's just grown over the years. It's become something horrible. And even when they like it, it might violate the law because now we have these child protection laws. So if you're a parent, you're in between a rock and a hard place here.
These parents built a school app, and then the city called the cops. This is an unnecessarily long article. It was in Sweden and Norway, which is disappointing because usually I think that's the land of like beautiful, smart people, and it's like, it's unicorn stuff. And it's like, no, this breeds like something that would have happened in America. The state spent $117 million US, which is an obscene amount of money, on this app to help parents and students and teachers connect. So like parents can see what their students' homework is, and parents can say, little Timmy's going to be out sick today. It didn't work. It was horrible. It was hard to use. And so these people, this group of parents built another application that would connect to the same endpoints that the crappy application would use, and was more functional and better. And then the city got really upset about that and tried to make them out to be criminals, and actually hired some other people to investigate to see, what laws have they broken. And the technical people concluded there's no laws have been broken, no sensitive information was leaked, and it was open source. So anybody could go look at it and confirm that, but they had to make a big boogeyman out of it. But it has a happy ending. Ultimately, the city was like, I guess this is fine.
But they pulled down the API.
No, at the very end, they said that they finally agreed to have an API go through a third-party company. And so, like, the third-party company will give you...
Who's paying for that?
Access for that. The taxpayers. Yeah.
Well, this article actually turned out to be pretty vague, but it does point out that this is just constant. And they don't even always announce it. Sometimes these are happening under the radar.
I think this was a fear-mongering article. I'll explain why.
Well, it's CNN, isn't it?
Yeah. Hackers have breached organizations in the defense industry and other sensitive sectors, this security firm says. Ooh, boogeyman. Okay, so yeah, this is very non-specific, but this just says defense contractors have been breached. Defense contractors are in a unique position. They usually have to use crappy, outdated software because the government requires them to use crappy, outdated software. And they're more egregiously vulnerable than most because, well, defense contracting is kind of dumb and annoying.
Yep. Being hacked is also dumb and annoying. Well, you might see this headline and you're thinking, hey, I've seen this headline 3-4 times before. Yeah, this is just the appeals process rolling out. Every time there's another decision.
But wait, there's more.
You got to get another headline.
All right. The headline is Google loses challenge against EU antitrust ruling and a $2.8 billion fine. So I thought this was how the leaked documents came out from Google and it talked about how them and Facebook were colluding on ads and things like that. I thought this was that lawsuit. This is not that lawsuit. This is a lawsuit that predates the information that was leaked. So there's probably another one of these that's coming.
That's a big number. Google can absorb those numbers, but they are coming hot and fast lately.
They said that Google, for their part, they did say that they've already made changes to, that the EU wanted. They just thought that the fine was excessive.
It was big. But they knew what they were doing.
Do you think there's ever like a reality where they get hit with so many fines, they're like, screw it, we're just going to pull out of the EU?
Yahoo did that in China. We had the story about that last week.
Yeah. And
but EU's might be a more important market to them, maybe.
What was the other company that pulled out of China at the same time?
There was another one.
Was it Uber?
No, maybe.
I know.
Maybe.
But those data companies whose only value is data, because now Jinping is like, no, you'll store it here and you won't mine it. You'll never move it out of my country. And they're like, well, okay.
We're out.
I think that's what it'll take, though. When the big meme stock thing hit, a lot of people discovered for the first time that Robinhood's business model doesn't make money off of buying and trading stocks. They make money off of selling that data, the flow data, and the way that the clearinghouses and everybody go through this insane process of something that should have been streamlined a long time ago. It's still based on like the paper version, but here we go. And now that we know about it, the EU is taking a look.
The EU is set to ban selling that flow data. So the EU looked at this and said, wait a minute, this is not ethical. We should ban this.
That's going to be interesting because all of the big brokerages have gone to a zero fee model, and that's how they do that. Of course, in the US, it's not been stopped. Portugal is aiming to become a mecca for digital nomads because now you can work from anywhere, right? And Portugal is saying, why not Portugal? It's nice. We have all these wonderful things you can do here. It's cheap. You can live cheaply here, and we're going to give you these laws.
Portugal makes it illegal for your boss to text you after work. You're not at work. Why is your boss bothering you? Do we really need a law for this? Yes, we do.
What if your boss just sends you a text after work and it's like, listen, I just want you to know I love you?
Not allowed.
Straight to jail.
We need that here because, it would be impossible to do that here in America because even for, office work, people expect you to be around constantly.
I've actually set, do not disturb on my email from, 8 to 8. And I'll still usually check it before I go to bed to make sure nothing's, massively on fire, but...
I know a couple of people that actually set their out of office when they go home for the day. And out of office, my normal working hours are, 9 to 5:30. If you need something outside of business hours and it's emergency, here's the emergency number. And I guess, but people are crazy.
I see you systematically checking the peanut butters. What are you observing?
Yeah, I've also noticed that.
So they're all best if used by August 19th, 2023. But then the second line date code is slightly different depending on which one it is. Some of them end in 8, but most of them end in 9.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
It means they're packed with poison, Krista. Well, we had the big climate summit, and
wow, that makes me feel better about the state of the world.
There's two big elephants in the room when you talk about the climate. China and India. Russia, not quite an elephant. Maybe like a small pony also in the room. And, we have these big rules and we argue about all this stuff, and it's like, well, isn't 65% of the problem not here and not talking about this?
Yeah.
For once, they talked about it.
Axios has the headline, China pledges more aggressive climate action. This article is actually really well done because it talks about China's past stance, which is we're industrializing, we're a developing nation, we're coming, we're a first world nation, but we've got a lot of rural areas and a ton of people. We're going to do what we need to do for the good of the people. But this actually says, okay, yes, we actually have a pollution problem and we need to bring that under control, or we're not going to have anywhere for our people to live, which is weird to get that kind of messaging out of the party. And the article points that out and explains why it has more detail, which is cool. But they also said they're going to bring forward some of their environmental controls. Could be that's just the state wanting to take over more industry. Convenient vehicle for doing that.
And they did do that.
Wow,
they nationalized something.
Yeah.
Interesting. Also, I agree with you. I think Axios is one of the best tech news sites because that Wired article earlier that was just not too long and why are you putting me through this? Axios, they give you bullet points. They give you good information.
Yeah, it's here's what they said before. Here's what that means. Yeah.
Generally, there's no spin.
Ironically, it's one of the sites where a subscription maybe is in order.
And that's the paywall alternative. That's where you go to get away from all the propaganda. Good job, Axios. Now somebody's going to comment. It's like, Axios is owned by Condé Nast and they kill children. China is also having its own cyber warfare woes, and their frenemy at the border there is who they are accusing.
China says the Indian, that a government-backed group, Evil Flower, is attacking it and shuts down its airlines data. Because we've got another story where they stole all of the airlines data, this group. China says India is behind it. This is actually, I'm a little bit relieved, I've got to confess, because I'm glad it wasn't America, because we don't need any more tension there. That's crazy.
Woo, it wasn't us.
China says that a foreign spy agency hacked its airlines and stole passenger records. So when you dig into this, you find out that the airlines were just dangerously insecure. But they're blaming India.
And they've also shut down all of the civilian apps that you can look at airline data. So the skies over China, no one knows right now, except for the party. That's going to make some things a lot easier for the spies, isn't it? And we know that the chip shortage is still wreaking havoc. Everything is missing and everything sucks. What are we going to do about it? Well, when I say we, I mean the world, because Japan does have a plan. They're going to treat chips like we treat corn.
Japan to create scheme to subsidize domestic chip output, Nikkei. So this is the plan that has TSMC involved, and I'm really surprised that Reuters didn't, because everybody's starting to recognize TSMC because they're the prettiest girl
at the dance.
But this is the thing with TSMC and Sony and Samsung and a bunch of other companies.
Yeah. So, I think Sony has also pledged a big dollar amount for that.
Yeah.
So they're going to get a nice little fab there. That'll be interesting.
We need that here. It was sad reading that and thinking, because it's an actually good outline of the government is going to take these 7 concrete action steps, and it's there's some people with a plan, and then I look at here and it's our infrastructure plan. We're gonna get more chip plants. And it's yeah, but how? I mean,
is there any oversight for any of this? And it's well, maybe
we're gonna spend trillions into an inflationary holocaust. Yeah.
But look, you can buy all this peanut butter.
No, you can't. What are you talking about? That peanut butter, it's the reason it's on the table is because you can't buy it.
Next year, this is going to be $7,000 of peanut butter.
Keep some of that in the basement. You may need it in the times to come.
Well, it doesn't expire until 2023. I'm in good shape.
Yeah. You'll have so much liquidity.
Be able to trade that for bullets in the coming wars.
I love World War II boat and aircraft warfare type stuff. There's some great YouTube videos that lay all those famous battles out, and they're fascinating, at least to me. One of the best was the Battle of Midway. And in the Battle of Midway, Japan brought out the Yamato. The Yamato was a new class of battleship. It was bigger than anything the world had ever seen before. And they had 2 of them. I think the other one was called the Musashi. Anyway, 2 giant murderous boats. The guns on these things were no one had ever seen anything like it. And then the U.S. was out there and they're I don't know, all we got's this big floating salad bowl full of airplanes. Spoiler alert, that's exactly what you want against the Yamato. It didn't go well for them. So since then, they've been out of the business of building giant boats until now.
After 76 years, Japan has aircraft carriers again, and it definitely does not have anything to do with the tensions around that area or any comments from a neighboring country about turning some of their country into glass.
They're just, they're just interested in doing this for funsies. They needed to spend some money, so definitely not anything to do with war.
There's definitely not mock-ups of these in the desert in a neighboring country either.
So there's one of ours, the Ronald Reagan, and the name of theirs is the Izumo.
Looks kind of similar.
I mean, it's an aircraft carrier.
I think they're probably using our plans at this point.
Yeah.
Well, the metaverse continues to be undefined. It's going to be VR, AR in some way. We're not sure how, but it doesn't stop a lot of different entities from just moving forward with it. We don't know what it is, but we're doing it.
Seoul will be the first city government to join the metaverse.
What does it mean?
Nobody
Nothing.
knows.
They just announced it. They wanted the headline. Wow, the bottling equipment for these is really inconsistent.
Oh yeah, look, the labels aren't the same height.
Well, it's handcrafted goodness.
Maybe it was hand-filled, and this one's even more different.
He's a human being. That's why it's probably so expensive. We don't know that it's expensive. I'm assuming it was. Maybe Blakely can tell us what he paid.
It's so good that normally I would just drink another one, but I'm actually going to save the other 3.
What if somebody gets a hold of one?
No.
You can't
Are
stop
you gonna
it.
hide that? Gotta hide it in the crisper drawer where your cousins won't find it.
But they can see in there.
I have noticed that as I've gotten toward the bottom, the flavor has changed a little bit. The flavor is a little less magical than it was at the end of the bottle.
Is paprika perfectly water soluble?
I don't know. That might be the difference.
You can't shake it though.
I'm not sure if that's the difference or because it's lost just the right amount of carbonation that it's a little different at the end. The carbonation might be the thing that's making it different.
You should just guzzle one to get the full.
I'm going to have to open another one and compare.
And then you cleanse your palate in between with a finger of peanut butter. Let's move on to social media. And everybody, it seems, all at once is figuring out, okay, we've waited long enough. We've observed what's happening. It's time for us to get into crypto. And Twitter is no exception.
Twitter is launching a dedicated crypto team, part of its push toward decentralization. Us just talking about these stories really seems to tweak the algorithm. We've had a couple of these where it's like, just no, I'm not going to share this.
Do you think the algorithm is anti-crypto?
Yes.
Really?
That's weird.
Very.
Well, YouTube is an entity that controls speech. Oh, God, do they control it. And
the amount of titles we come up with every week that it's like, will we get demonetized for that? We'll probably get demonetized for that.
Yeah. And we try to filter hard on that, and we still get caught. Like, that's how bad it is.
Yeah, we've gotten a spate of those lately for videos from 2020. It's like this was fine. It is now not fine, and it's like so if there's any missing or deleted old versions of the news, that's why.
But YouTube has a problem. You see, while they're trying to push this narrative, universally, everything to do with the narrative gets ruthlessly downvoted. I mean, the ratios on those White House press videos and those Biden speeches are astonishing.
The ratios on just rewind for the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah. YouTube Rewind.
Anything YouTube puts in that little discovery box that they make you look at, it's like, oh, transgender voices. Just they get slaughtered. Most of them don't even turn it on because they know. Well, YouTube said, we're tired of that. We're tired of the masses having a voice. That's not allowed.
YouTube is removing the dislike count on all videos across all of its platforms.
My understanding was that they're keeping it. You can still dislike, but it's always invisible. You can't see the dislike ratio.
The creator can see it.
Well, that's one of the things, though. It's like one of their arguments was that we're removing this, for creator mental health, but creators can still see it.
Right.
And
and the algorithm's probably still using it to filter results. So
for things that are legit scams that have a massively bad ratio, then how do you know as an end user anymore? There's a lot of content that the algorithm incorrectly returns, and that's how you know to keep searching is oh, this content is probably not good because the ratio is bad.
Oh, you're probably not up to date on the latest memo. You're not supposed to try to learn anything for yourself. Only the government and CNN can tell you.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what if you saw, last year's Rewind or whatever, and you looked at it and it just, it was so difficult to articulate why it made you so angry. And then it's like, is this just me? Am I just having a bad day? And if you can't see the validation of oh no, this is just horribly out of touch. Okay, it's not me.
a lot of people are turning off comments as well. So there's no way.
Why do the people need a voice?
Consume.
Although you do have to give them some leeway there because more and more the world is going toward them being responsible for those comments.
Yeah. You made me feel bad. It's your fault.
Are we going to get to a point where it's like, my video got a lot of dislikes and that hurt me mentally, so you owe me money?
You owe me an NFT.
A participation NFT. Well, it's bad. It's real bad. The social media companies are ruining this country. But in other parts of the world, they're striking back. And they're striking back with government power, which is a weird battle. I don't know who to root for.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad either way, I guess.
Central Asian leaders want to tighten grip on social media. Russia's playbook blazes the trail. What is Russia's playbook? Well, the article talks about, remember the voting app? It was like the opposition leader thing. It's like, we're going to do an app because we're the opposition and we want people to get together. The people that developed the app are in jail. The one dude got poloniumed and went to another country and then, recovered because he was in another country to be treated for that, because that's happened so many times. We have treatments for that. And then he came back and now he's, incarcerated because he left the country to get treatment, which was not allowed.
It's a little unfair.
Just a bit. It's
a bit of despotism that would never happen in this country. Julian Assange. Well, there's a lot of hot new trends on TikTok, and I'm not hip to any of them.
Nope.
Sometimes we'll talk about like one of those crazy viral challenges that gets through to our level, our age group.
DV flicks.
Krista, were you aware of this?
I had never seen this before. So this was new to me as well.
Can you demo it for us?
Well, there's a thing there. Apparently this means I'm in trouble.
So remember that if you're ever just signaling to people.
Of course, now that everybody knows that, I mean,
Yeah,
this
I
only
had that
worked
thought.
because her assailant had no idea what she was doing.
She burned the one use
Yeah.
of this
Yeah.
magic wand.
Yeah. Missing North Carolina teen has been found after using a TikTok hand sign alerting that she was in danger. So a truck driver saw her do this and then alerted the police, who pulled over the person, and she had been kidnapped.
In the 80s, that was the universal sign in a movie that you didn't know how to fight. Like if you made a fist with your thumb in, and then like whoever was like teaching you would be like, "Oh no, you'll break your thumb." Like that happened in a ton of movies. True, I guess. That's a lot of leverage to put on your thumb.
Yeah.
Well, Facebook, they changed their name. And if you're wondering why they changed their name, it's because Facebook is very aware of the people's perception about them and why the people perceive them that way. They know the nasty stuff that they're doing, and they actually study it.
Is Facebook bad for you? It's about 360 million users in a study, and the answer was yes.
So, yeah, it was fairly low numbers that overall, but wow, the political divide was crazy. Republicans hate Facebook, Democrats love it.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like no one likes Facebook in my age group.
Well, according to their internal data,
Uh-huh.
not the case.
Well, their internal data also may be skewed toward older people.
It also said that a lot of people would still feel ambiguously depressed.
Right. Yeah. The vague notion of discomfort was much higher than like, I think this is bad.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you're at Facebook, you can't look at those numbers and be happy. Those are bad numbers. But you don't have to take Facebook's word for it. There's a lot of people asking these questions, and the answers seem to be the same.
CNN poll: 3 out of 4 adults think Facebook is making society worse. That's Facebook, the app, not Meta, the company.
I think if you deleted Facebook tomorrow, it would just move to another platform.
Yes.
It already has.
Yeah, like the Twitter's kind of that way too. I mean, like, it's not just Facebook.
But I think Facebook gets the most attention because the people making the laws are the Facebook demographic.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's all decrepit corpses in there.
I mean, we've got some senators on TikTok, but it probably ain't many, right?
Mm-mm.
Do you guys remember saltbae?
Yes. I didn't understand why it was banned.
Oh, this guy. I didn't know what saltbae meant until I saw the picture underneath the article, and I was like, oh, that
Right.
guy.
Yeah, that guy. So that guy's a celebrity chef. He has an insanely expensive steakhouse that is in the area of the climate summit, right? Or, like maybe a couple hours away. So a Vietnamese minister, now this is a public servant, by the way, not supposed to be a rich man.
Well,
How do you get rich?
Well.
How do you get rich? So he went and visited a communist site, and it was like, oh yes, let's pledge our love for communism and the people and the power to the people, and how the Vietnamese people they this is their way of living. Then he went to this guy's restaurant and paid $1,500 a steak
Ooh.
for gold flake plated steaks. What happens after that? Well, somebody found out about it, and there was a hashtag.
Exclusive. Facebook has now unblocked hashtag saltbae after Vietnamese minister's golden steak. That should never have been blocked in the first place.
It was blocked globally. And it wasn't just like not returning search results. If you search for saltbae, it was like, we've detected something wrong here. You've done something wrong. Why did you do that? So in Vietnam, Facebook has a huge history of doing whatever the government says. There you go. Affected the global Facebook.
Just like in Russia, and soon just like in the Asian countries, as we learned a couple of stories ago.
This is only good publicity for saltbae, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Although he took down his video of it too, clearly at somebody's request.
Yeah.
Gold dusted steak. That's something that you would hear about, like Marie Antoinette doing. She lost her head for it.
And we're paywalled here. Reuters. They've
Curse
betrayed
you.
us.
Yeah.
But there's literally one of the stills from the video is this guy, like he's personally serving this table, and he's got a steak on a skewer, and he's feeding that the Vietnamese guy.
I mean, what an experience.
I'm sure it was amazing, right?
You know,
As inflation goes up around the world and people can't afford food, enjoy that gold steak.
what is the $1,500 the gold flake steak or just the experience of it? Because, you know,
I think the steaks, I don't know. I don't even know if he paid for it, but that's not the point. The point is he traveled using fossil fuels a long way to a restaurant to eat beef. The whole climate summit was about beef.
it is possible to produce beef without making a ton of CO2. We found that we can just have minor adjustments to the cow's diet, and it dramatically impacts their CO2 production.
I mean, hell,
And
you could
methane.
even, say with the methane and stuff too, you can use like manure and things, but they don't use it right now.
Right.
They just shovel it away.
We can even capture their ammonia. If we train the cows to pee in a urinal, which is possible, you can actually collect the ammonia and turn it into something commercially viable.
That sounds like a fun job.
Well, once you train them from birth, and then it's not a big deal.
The cows are the migrant workers who are scraping up the pee. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the cow.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, you pick up after your cat all the time.
Yeah, I do.
I pick up after my dog.
I didn't sign up for that, but I do.
Yeah, well, welcome to the rest of your tax-paying life. Tomorrow we got business, and I don't know, what was the other small one, Krista? Do you remember? We talked about it before.
Was
this
it
change.
business and security?
Maybe. I think security is actually one of the bigger ones this week. It's robot. I bet it's business and robot.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you guys then. Bye. Hello. Welcome back to Level 1 News. Today is November 17th, and today we're doing business and robot.
November's almost gone. Make it stop.
And Thanksgiving is next week. If you need to buy meat, start buying it now.
Or if you need to stockpile media, you want to use some YouTube DL, make sure you got a nice collection of things to listen to drown out your family.
The supply chain does not seem to be improving. If anything, it's getting worse.
Oh, also, we're supposed to have a bad winter. So there's the woolly worms, which have been black, which means bad winter. The persimmon seeds look like spoons, which means heavy snow. And then there's also La Nina, or El Nina, which I think El Nina is an actual thing and not just a weird folk superstition that we have around here. And that's supposed to also be bad this year.
I think you're mixing genders.
Is it La Nina or El Nina?
Daughter of God.
I don't know.
La, yeah.
It's cold. It's supposed to be colder this year.
That sucks because, like the heating cost.
Yeah.
It's going to be high.
The documentation for the building boiler says that it was designed for an outside ambient temperature of minus 30. It was installed 100 years ago. Is that the level of climate change we've really endured? Because
don't start that conversation. Apple is they're giving you just a smidgen back. They've taken so much, and now they will offer a paltry reward for your loyalty.
Apple will no longer break Face ID on repaired iPhone 13s. Why did they reverse? Because there were enough people in right to repair grabbing their torches and pitchforks and laying bare exactly what Apple was doing. You see, if Apple is not acting from behind cloak and dagger and it's plain and clear what they're doing, it's deeply unpopular. And Apple must not be seen as deeply unpopular because they care what you think. And if enough people know what horrible things they're doing, they're going to go to greater lengths to make sure that those horrible things are less done. So what Face ID, what it would do previously is it would just mysteriously break and glitch and give you weird error messages. They deliberately wrote behavior into the software to make it glitch and be weird in some scenarios, not with the Face ID, but in the past, as opposed to just not working or just not saying, hey, we've detected an unauthorized repair. We don't know if this phone is safe. We've disabled Face ID. That wasn't what it did.
Disgusting. But Apple, even though they gave us this huge boon and made us so happy, they have gotten some bad news because, and again, this is one of those headlines where you're like, well, we've talked about this so many times. Yeah, the appeals are running out, and it seems that Apple must actually do this.
Apple has been ordered to comply with the ruling in the Epic versus Apple lawsuit that allows them to or that forces them to allow developers to prompt their users to pay outside of Apple's walled garden. See, if you pay through Apple, Apple gets a 30% cut. But if I have an app on the App Store and I say, hey, just go to my website, and it's 20% cheaper than on the Apple App Store, I get 10% more, and we cut out Apple. It's pretty good stuff. The court said, yeah, you got to turn that on. Apple said, we want to exhaust all of our appeals before we turn it on. But it's weird, because when the ruling was first handed down, Apple said, we're going to go ahead and do that. And then all the press places reported that Apple was going to do the right thing. And it was really good press. And then they said, nah, we changed our mind.
JK, not actually going to do that.
Seems deliberate, don't you think?
They're good at it.
They really are.
They control that spin like masters.
They really do. It's shocking.
Well, I would say prepare yourself for a lot of disappointments this holiday season when it comes to buying what you want. We've already heard that the Nintendo Switches are going to be woefully underproduced. I think the PS5s are still in high demand, aren't they?
Yes.
Tough to get those. And there is one hot holiday item that you won't be getting at all.
Steam Deck has been delayed, and Valve apologizes. I got the email, and then there was 50 stories about how it had been delayed. And Valve did not pre-inform anybody, as far as I could tell. Everybody got the same email at the same time. But they had a frequently asked questions page that was up immediately that was like, hey, it's going to be February 2022. We're sorry. And we're still going to fill the orders in the order that they are received. So.
Yikes. Valve is good. They're always good about this kind of thing. And you could tell from the wording, I was like, we really tried. It's just not there.
Yeah.
Cannot buy them.
I think when this was announced, we said, based on our own experiences with the supply chain, it was not coming for Christmas. We were right.
It's going to be some sad Christmas trees.
That's going to be NFTs. What are you talking about?
But
it's the only thing you can get.
It's just going to be a coupon that's like, you'll get it eventually.
You're going to get a jar of peanut butter, and you're going to be happy by the time Christmas runs around.
But
not every household will share that experience. And perhaps one way that you'll be able to tell the happy households from the miserable households is how much Alphabet stock that they own. Because Alphabet, in amidst all this woe and misery, is doing quite well.
Google's parent company briefly hits a $2 trillion valuation. Money printer go brrrr.
Doubled the market cap since last January. Or not even last January, 2020 January. That is impressive.
Is it though? Because the inflation rate is kind of bananas right now.
It just feels like fake money. It's like, oh, that's...
Well, I don't see anybody else's stock price jumping up like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Red versus blue, I guess the last blow we have to give to blue because those Alder Lake CPUs were fairly impressive.
Yes.
And if you take the power out of it, are they back? Are they number one? Now, some people could certainly argue that. But that is not... having the fastest CPU is not necessarily winning the war because there are battles behind the scenes that matter maybe more.
Yeah, just a week later, well, the headline... Oh, I can't see the headline. What is it? AMD signs up Meta in another big win on the server roadmap. So Meta, the Facebook company. So AMD, just a week after Alder Lake launch, had their server event. And they talked about their new server chips. And it's not even the new server chips. It's just they're adding more cache to the existing server chips. But they also said, hey, our really big server chips are coming next year. Don't worry. But they also talked about some corporate wins, including with like Facebook and their server rollout and how they're scaling and doing stuff like that. So that's exciting.
The metaverse. We don't know what it is, but we know it's going to run on Threadripper.
Epic. It's going to run on Epic. But,
so,
and Instinct MI graphics cards.
Microsoft also rolled out some new hardware that we looked at last week. We did not look at this one. This is their lowest offering, and you can't buy it.
This is, once again, Microsoft own-goaling themselves.
This is a really, really bad product.
Microsoft's new 249 Surface Laptop SE is the first true Chromebook competitor. Here's why this product is going to fail. They have gone for the cheapest thing imaginable, and it's going to be a terrible user experience because it's going to run slow, and Windows is going to suck on whatever platform this is. They literally do not get it. Their first product that is really their third or fourth product that's based on ARM and like the new technologies, they should have gone over the top to make it as awesome as possible. This is going to be trash level hardware with a trash level experience.
Is this just something they produced so they could get something out for Black Friday, you think?
No, this is only for schools. You can't buy these.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's literally just made to be a cheap Windows computer that connects to the cloud. And it comes with a special version of Windows 11, which I think we got a separate article about that.
No, it's the same article. Windows SE, only OneDrive, no local file access. Think about that. It's a version of Windows with no local file storage.
Well, they are emulating Google in that regard because it's like, look at my Chromebook. It's all cloud-based. And it's like...
Also,
so it's not really your documents in there, huh?
Yeah.
This is like a one-time setup from Microsoft that you get when it ships. I guess there's probably a reset function somehow, but if you put another operating system on that, you can't go back.
Yeah, there's no download for this version of Windows.
Sounds like a real hit.
This is going to... How do people in Microsoft still not get it right? They were the first to have an ARM laptop. They saw the writing on the wall, and they still fumbled it so hard. How do they not know?
I'm sure someone knows there, and they've been harping on it the whole time.
They've been furiously writing memos this whole time that are just, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so.
Well, Microsoft definitely has a history of aggressively corralling you into the pen that they want you in, no matter what pen you want to live in. This certainly looks like another step in that direction.
Microsoft to kill OneDrive for Windows 7, 8, 8.1, etc. in early 2022. It's like, hey, we need advanced security features of Windows 10 and mainly Windows 11. So get out.
The joke's on them. I've been trying to uninstall OneDrive for years.
And this article doesn't really talk about it at all, but OneDrive on Linux is, because they've got Edge on Linux. And like Edge as a browser, and this is crazy that it's me saying this, is actually not a terrible experience. Edge is actually pretty good on Linux. It's a pretty good browser. And so it's like a lot of the stuff that they have in there they're going to break older versions of Windows is probably going to negatively impact Linux, which is unfortunate. And they're probably not even on their radar.
Well,
yeah, but
would it be? Yeah.
The number of people who use Edge in Linux, it's like you and one other guy.
0.0000000.1%.
Well, Huawei, they seem to be doing pretty well considering all the horror that they've gone through in the last couple of years and being between the Communist Party and the rest of the world saying stop spying on us. They seem to be weathering it to some extent, but maybe it was just a facade.
Huawei offloads its x86 business as it chases self-sufficiency. Like, we're going to make our own x86 chips. Then they're looking at Apple and others, and they're like, you know what? Maybe we don't need x86 at all. So
maybe they're right. Could
Seems
be a very prescient thing to do.
Makes sense.
I don't know, though. I mean, if they make a brilliant new ARM chip, are we going to let people buy it?
No. Although, what we probably would do is make them license it to a company that is owned in America, which is kind of what the Chinese do that we've criticized in the past. It's another one of those things where it's like Spider-Man pointing at each other. It's like, no, we can't do this. And it's like, we do it. And it's like, what?
It's my favorite meme format.
Double standard much?
Everything about the U.S.-China relationship is a double standard in both directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked a lot. Actually, we just started talking about the horror that is coming when everything is going to be an NFT. Everything's going to be tokenized. Everything's going to be traded. It's going to be a weird, horrible world that we live in. It's going to be like, people say like late-stage capitalism. You've not seen anything yet. It's going to get so much worse.
Reddit to reportedly tokenize karma points and onboard 500 million new users. So your Reddit karma will actually be on the Ethereum blockchain, and somehow your karma will be Ethereum, or they're gonna implement it like Ethereum, something like that.
Now, do you recall when all of the news organizations slowly switched over to a business model where only clicks mattered? And do you remember what that did to the world?
This is going to be worse.
This is going to be worse.
This is going to happen overnight, and there's going to be an immediate marketplace.
What's to stop Jeff Bezos from having the loudest voice then?
What's stopping him now?
Well, I mean, let's pay for whatever. Like, they own the news organizations. They own
Sinclair Broadcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you, I didn't see this in the story. Maybe I didn't read it deep enough. But if you have like 1 billion karma already, do you immediately get tokenized?
Yes.
I think they've tested it with 2 different subreddits, I think.
So people are going to make a lot of money there, huh? Just overnight. Interesting.
How much do you think this will make the shit posts get worse, right?
Only if people will upvote them. You're going to be chasing like the most obvious thing that someone else will just immediately agree to.
Which, I mean, that kind of already happens on Reddit, which is annoying. At least on the bigger subreddits. Wow, that's going to make it way worse.
The dissenting voices are gone. Because the dissenting voices will get no response. They'll get no cryptocurrency. I mean, maybe if you're the biggest dissenting voice, it's bad. It's going to be bad.
Whatever Jeff Bezos says, I agree with, and then he just is like throwing money at you.
I mostly follow like small, like niche subreddits anyway, but I wonder if that will eventually affect them, and then they'll also go down in quality because people will be chasing that coin.
Honestly, I don't go to Reddit much anymore. It's already just so terrible. Well, green energy. That's the big talk. And there is one kind of energy that doesn't count as green and yet is pretty good for the planet unless. Like there's that big unless. But it seems to be more and more because we're arguing about fossil fuels. This is the way of the future and people are investing in cool new ways to do it.
Rolls-Royce gets funding to develop mini nuclear reactors. Not M-A-N-Y, it's M-I-N-I, miniature.
I suspect it's both.
Well, miniature nuclear reactors are a lot safer because there's a lot less chance of a meltdown, and even if there is a meltdown, it's a lot more self-contained. It's unlikely to spread contaminants to, say, like the atmosphere, and also being able to use modern, technology and modern designs. Most people don't realize, like General Electric's nuclear designs, some of the components of it date back to like the 1950s.
That came up a lot during Fukushima.
Yes.
Because those were old. And even when they built them, the designs were old.
Yeah.
So it's a long time coming. I think a lot of the new development for nuclear has been sanctioned and stuff, though, right?
Yeah, it's unattractive, and it's like we can't, this design is tried and true and proven, and this new design is theoretical because it's a chicken and egg problem.
But I got to say, I mean, I understand it because mini nuclear reactors sound amazing. Yeah, let's get those, but I'm going to put it right outside the building. How do you feel about that?
I'm okay with that.
All right, well,
I wouldn't be, but
take note. Wendell's going to let you mount one on the roof for a small leasing fee.
I think we should dig a pit and put it in the pit. If we can agree to put it in a pit, I'm okay with
or
it.
Contaminate your groundwater?
Who owns that land?
No, I mean, I'd be fine if I did. It's fine.
So your house?
Yeah.
You put it under your house?
That's totally okay. I'm good with that. It's totally fine.
Well,
we should put it somewhere that it's on bedrock so it doesn't contaminate the groundwater, which around here is not super hard to do.
I think there's more to it than that.
A little bit, yeah.
When you are sitting around, when you got a little bit of time off for the holidays, or maybe you're just avoiding your family, or maybe you just spend all of your time binging TV because you hate life, it's going to get a little bit better for you and definitely for your ISP.
Netflix starts rolling out more efficient AV1 codec to TVs, including select Android TVs. This is a little crazy because those low power devices that you plug into a TV that you can stream, they have a hardware decoder for the old codec, H.264, but many of them have for years had the decoder for H.265 or AV1, and we're only just now getting a thing to use them.
The Fire TVs do 265.
Yeah.
And they'll do that from your own files too, from a USB stick.
Oh, nice.
These are the models that have updated so far. Not a huge list. I wonder how, does the Chromecast and Roku, do they do that?
Some of them. So it turned I think with Roku specifically, if I'm remembering, it's been about a year since I worked on it. Some of that hardware rolled out a really buggy implementation of that, and they thought they could salvage it in software, and it turns out they cannot.
Yikes. That's the bad thing about those set-top pieces. Like, you could get a lemon,
Yeah.
and the next year it'll be better, but you're going to buy it again.
Yeah, I got one of those Android, like those open source Android, like run your own Android things on it, and it had some of that hardware, and I was like, yes, this is going to get H.265 someday. And like the mailing list is like, well, there's some hardware there that accelerates some of it, but overall the platform is just too slow to deal with it because of bugs.
Terrible. Well, Tesla thus far has pretty much stood alone. There are other companies making electric cars. We saw Toyota getting into it. GM's got one. Several of those European companies, I think, have rolled them out. But no one just makes electric vehicles as a competitive company. until now.
Rivian goes public in one of the biggest IPOs ever. Rivian did some really smart, brilliant marketing. They got a bunch of, YouTubers and other influencers to take a bunch of these trucks, off the beaten path. And they have like camping features. Like, Chris, did you see that? Where like behind the cab there, you can pull out a thing and it's an electric stove and there's just...
Oh, no, I hadn't seen that.
And that's a thing that you can add at the factory. Like when you order your Rivian, you can be like, yeah, put the camp stove on it.
Yeah, you should check out some of those videos. It's really exciting. And it can change like how it crawls on, or like...
How it rolls on rough land.
Yeah, well, I say crawl because it'll adjust the ride height of the wheels independently. And so it can deal with really rough terrain really well.
It'll be the new van life.
Yeah.
Well, truck life, I guess.
I don't know what it's trading at right now. The IPO was 78. It went well over 100.
Yeah.
So, assuming that held, they've got like $12 billion in fresh capital.
Well, the vehicles they showed off, they had like a dozen of them, or they made it seem like they had a dozen of them, different colors and stuff like that. So, they were impressive.
Can you mine Bitcoin with it? Probably. Probably you can, because people figured out how to do that in the Tesla. But if you really want efficient Bitcoin mining, what you need to do is find some place that has a surplus of power. A lot of people, when we're talking about the climate, a lot of people don't grasp the concept of the immediacy of electricity. Electricity is just here right now in this moment. Unless you put it in a battery, which costs an amazing amount of, you lose so much doing that.
Yeah.
So you can't just pour your energy into a bottle and seal it up and keep it under your house. It doesn't work like that. When you have extra energy, you need to use it.
"Quote unquote financial colonialism. A Bitcoin mine in Navajo Nation flares tensions." So if you read this article, that shouldn't be the headline. That's the clickbait headline. But you read this and it's like there's a Navajo community that has 15 megawatts of extra electricity. And so this company showed up and they said, you have a bunch of electricity you're not using. Can we buy that from you at, slightly above market rates? And if you ever need more, that's fine. But we want to buy it from you and run our Bitcoin mine. And they said, okay, but only if you give us 51% non-controlling interest of your company, but we own 51% of your company. And they said, all right, that's fine. And so it ran that way for a long time. But then recently, the company said, hey, can we buy ourselves out? Can we buy the 51% and take full control, and we'll give you a boatload of money, an undisclosed sum? And they said, sure. And then this article comes out, and it's like, hey, are you stealing our electricity? And it's like, no, we're buying it.
There was an agreement, yeah.
Yeah. The nation apparently has a lot of homes and stuff that don't have running water or electricity. But they have a lot more money now to do that than they did before. I'm just saying.
Their poop buckets are amazing now. They're gilded and they're hand carved. It's incredible.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
probably run the line now.
They're
They've got the
blaming
cash.
they're blaming this company for a problem that was caused by something else. And I get it. You see these people getting rich off of, that's our electricity. Musk should step in here and build them a battery wall, a giant battery.
That would cost money.
Well, but he's rich. This would be a huge PR stunt for him.
We've got a lot of people that are out of work right now. Why don't we put them to work running wire and plumbing?
Sure.
If they're willing to do that.
I know somebody in Indianapolis who'd be willing to run some cable for him.
Supervise the crews that are digging the ditches, make sure the lines are straight.
He doesn't speak Navajo, though. Well, we've learned about Zillow's misstep this past week. Oh boy, did they mess up by trying to do this real estate in a completely online, weird way, algorithms and AI. They really screwed it up. Turns out they weren't the first to do it. They were just the first to do it in the U.S.
Bezos has backed a real estate app that is going to accept Bitcoin as payment.
But only in Latin America. So
that seems a little weird.
Do you think, is it cheaper to pay the Bitcoin fees to pay cash for a house? No, right? Because if you just have a cashier check, you're not paying any fees.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin fees on a house are going to be high.
Yeah.
The transaction fees. Maybe you've just got it in a cold wallet. I don't know. It's interesting, though. probably also just a down payment, right? Are a lot of people in those places paying outright cash for houses?
No, but the cost of the house is also not a lot.
Or maybe the people Bezos is doing business
Yeah,
with?
you say
are
the
doing it?
foreign investors who are trying to get houses.
Is this a way to appreciate? Like you could turn your crypto assets also into real estate assets, and then it appreciates either way. Can you become a landlord? It's like you can turn your Bitcoin holdings into you're now a slumlord in some third world country.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not going to be a landlord. You're gonna
You
be a
just you figured it out, and here's the engagement challenge. We can't use Tom Selleck. Who will be the celebrity for the reverse Bitcoin mortgage commercials?
It's not a scam.
No one's trying to take your Bitcoin. Well, NFTs, as we said, the coming hell of everything being tokenized and everything being traded it's coming. You can't stop it. But
no one wants it, and yet
well, that's the thing that gives me a little bit of hope. Because every time a company comes out and announces one of these things, there's a massive backlash. People know how bad this is going to get.
Discord pushes pause on exploring the crypto and NFT thing amidst user backlash. Their CEO was like, look at this screenshot. We're working on a thing. And everybody at once collectively was like, what are you doing?
Please no.
Can you just please stop? That was funny.
Krista, what do you think about their art style, these monsters and wizards hanging out?
This is a pretty common art style right now. I'm not sure. There's not like a name for it yet, I don't think. Like, there will be eventually when we talk about the design of this period, but I don't know what this illustration style is called
maybe
yet.
you could name it, Krista. You could get something started.
I've thought about that, but I can't think of anything clever.
We can test our influence. We don't have enough.
We don't have any influence, though.
We might be able to get a 4-unit villa in like somewhere in Latin America that is constantly, under threat of being condemned.
But we
Maybe.
have to buy it with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Now, Krista, do you know if these people are working on the Amazon project?
I don't know. They worked on the movies, but...
Is that why that might be why they bought them. It's like they're to the part where they need visual effects, and it's like, well, this is going to cost a lot of money. Or we could buy the studio.
But they also did Avatar.
Yeah.
That was a big one. This is a very, very talented effects company, if nothing else. And I guess we're going to start seeing much more production value in video games, huh?
Unity to buy the Lord of the Rings VFX studio, Weta Digital, for $1.63 billion deal. So I had a slightly different take on this. Have you seen some of the stuff that Unity and developers have been doing with like the VTuber thing? They're doing really incredible real-time, modeling where like you wear a power glove and it's got, a motion capture thing, and you're doing a performance, but it's doing it in real time with Unity. Well, it turns out that they're doing a lot of that kind of stuff on set too, in TV shows and movies that are being shot right now. And so like this unholy alliance of like Unity and motion capture and AI and all this stuff together is doing some really incredible stuff in real time, so that actors have a way of doing and seeing things. And so like if Amazon is going to bring that kind of thing to Weta, it's really we're in for some really exciting stuff.
That is going to play a major role in the metaverse.
Probably, yeah.
Your appearance in the metaverse is going to be something that's heavily monetized. And having a cool thing that adapts to your actual appearance and overlays, that's going to be expensive and really amazing.
In the metaverse, you literally will not be able to get counterfeit Nikes. It will be physically impossible.
No, but you can get a pair of virtual Nikes when you buy Kraft macaroni and cheese.
If you die in the metaverse, do you die in real life?
Yeah. Zuckerberg comes to your house and shoots you
The Zuckerbot.
personally.
It's time consuming, but it's his favorite part of the job, so he still makes time for it.
We have a couple of different stories this week about companies that are splitting up, and I have to assume that these guys are reading the tea leaves, right, on the antitrust stuff. And they're like, let's do this on our terms.
GE will split into 3 units, ending the conglomerate for good. This is a feel-good story from Bloomberg that talks about, Edison's dream of the conglomerated electricity providing super monopoly and how those days have just come to an end.
They're breaking out the aircraft unit. That's probably really still making a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
The defensive contracts.
Well,
What?
no one's flying right now, so they're not making any money on that side of it with parts and stuff.
You mean until the Chinese war?
Yeah.
I think that'll pick up.
Yeah.
Or we can just sell them to Taiwan.
And Japan now, too.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
They need to fill
yeah.
their aircraft carriers.
Those were our planes on that carrier,
Yeah.
not theirs.
Yeah.
So they need planes. Everybody needs planes. We talked about the Oculus rebranding. There's a huge history, if you go back and look, of Facebook promising that they are not going to mess with the Oculus brand. They're going to buy it, but they're not going to screw it up. They're not going to rename it. They're not going to make it their own.
Nobody's going to steal your house.
X'd out.
Tom Selleck has guaranteed us that the Oculus name would live on.
Meta Quest 2 is already replacing the Oculus Quest 2 branding.
Not much more to that.
It's just sad.
I mean, it's almost worth the effort to go back and find the clip of Zuckerberg saying we're gonna, because he made a big deal about that in a video, and it's like I really want to splice it in right there, but it's fine.
Another big trend that is going right now is a lot of people are saying that unrealized gains in stocks should be taxed annually, whether you sold them or not. And that would be devastating to people who have billions of dollars. Maybe they're trying to get ahead of it a little bit.
Elon Musk and Tesla directors are cashing out billions in stock as it hits a record high. Well, no, he already had a tax liability of like $15 billion. That's why he sold this.
That's because of his options.
Yeah.
His options will expire if he doesn't exercise them. And if he exercises them, he's going to make an insane amount of money.
He did exercise them.
But, well, it's the SEC schedule.
Okay.
So it's not all of them. He exercised on a schedule and added more to that sale as well. The 10% that he went on Twitter about.
Okay.
And a lot of people, it's a brilliant PR move. You got to give it to him, right? He was not saying, I want to do this because the world, I should sell this and put it back in the money supply or whatever you want to say about it. The reason he did it is because he owes that exact amount for the taxes for the option sales.
Yeah.
He has to pay his taxes. And he's poor. He has no liquidity, remember. Although, did he sell those houses?
I mean, liquidity here is like maybe a few dozen $1 million, which is, in the grand scheme of things, a very small percentage of his overall wealth.
He's going to owe a lot. After it's 50% at his tax bracket.
Yeah.
So $7 billion in taxes. That's going to hurt to write that check, doesn't it? He doesn't do it himself.
He's probably got a whole team of people who manage his money.
And Bitcoin continues to climb. It's given a little bit back now, but it's really, really.
As of this recording on Friday, what is it at now?
Like 68.
I thought it hit 70.
Use your phone because I don't want to create another tab. It may have touched 70. I'm sure it's not there right now, but a lot of people don't know there is a new technology coming to the Bitcoin platform.
Bitcoin's Taproot upgrade should occur on Saturday. This is going to let you run applications kind of similar to Ethereum, hopefully.
Contracts.
So we'll see.
Oh, I lied. It's 62K right now.
Oh, it went down a bit.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying that Taproot with Bitcoin with Taproot technology could remove some of the need for the altcoins. I don't know though. Ethereum, I think it's pretty much settled. Could Ethereum lose a lot because of this?
I don't know. It's been weird.
Patreon. Some of you give us free money on Patreon. Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
It's wonderful.
Sometimes it's free peanut butter. We'll take that.
Listen, whatever you can do. We're not going to complain. But one of the things about Patreon is they are still, for people like us at least, for people who create video content, and I think that's probably the majority of Patreon people, you still are beholden to YouTube and their draconian censorship rules. So what can you do?
Patreon's building a native video hosting for creators to sidestep YouTube. We're building a video product.
That's not a bad idea for they might be able to compete with YouTube because they have enough money to handle the hosting.
But I don't think that they will fall on the right side of the censorship either. We've already seen Patreon do bad stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
In terms of censorship.
Also, they don't have that built-in discoverability feature that YouTube does, where sometimes you can just get recommended a video and discover someone new.
Right.
Patreon, you usually have to know who it is before you get there.
I do like the idea of there's obviously content that we might make that we would never put on YouTube just because it would be garbage content. But something that some people would enjoy and we might enjoy making, I could see putting that directly on Patreon and not worrying about it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't hurt the algorithm at all.
We could do that now with Floatplane.
Now we can do it in both places. Oh, yeah. What a terrible sort.
I thought there was a separate story for it.
Well, we've already spoiled it.
Windows 11 SE won't be sold separately and can't be reinstalled once removed. This is a version of Windows 11 that is locked down, but it's made for crappy devices like the Chromebooks. Although there's hints here that it's Windows S, so Windows Store apps only. But also it removes a bunch of, Microsoft calls it a distraction-free Windows 11. I would like a distraction-free Windows 11. I mean, I think Microsoft is basically defrauding shareholders with the start menu. It's so bad. But, I can't have that.
I think the distraction-free is more about controlling students, right?
Well, it's like you don't get Candy Crush and crap like that, because then students would be like, good luck, IT administrator, removing Candy Crush. It just keeps coming back. It's undead.
We have seen Google do a lot of really cool stuff when it comes to speech. What was the name of their? Oh, yeah. Euphonia. And then before that, it was called something else. The one that like set up appointments and stuff on the phone. Anyway, very impressive technology. And now they have a new user base that can enjoy it.
Google is taking signups for Relate, a voice assistant that recognizes impaired speech. So Google can learn to understand you, and then you can communicate normally if you have a speech impediment.
Oh, I was going to say, what if you have a strong accent like people we know?
Speech impediment.
Yeah, the girl in the video has like muscular dystrophy or something like that, and she can't move her mouth at all.
Oh.
And it's such a tough video to watch because like that's one of my biggest fears, right? Do you know the story of the movie reviewer?
Yeah, where he lost his jaw.
And they had to cut his entire lower jaw off. He would like go to some sort of room by himself and sequester himself because the smells of cooking in the house would drive him mad because he couldn't eat. After that surgery, he never ate again.
Wow.
Hell on earth. And these people who have trouble talking, feel for them as well. But the video was very impressive how it was able to. I mean, she was tough to understand, and Google did a very good job. Can't argue with that. But they're not the only game in town who's doing some cool stuff with voices and artificial intelligence.
NVIDIA's Riva, hopefully I'm saying that right, custom voice lets companies create a custom voice powered by AI. So we can finally have, a Cortana phone prompt whenever you call Microsoft. And it can just literally be everything. It's text-to-speech, but it's text-to-speech with any voice.
Bad news for those voice actors who...
I was going to say, that's what I was thinking of.
They do the call trees. Because now you just have to train this, and it can do everything automatically.
Joy.
Also, shout out to Kyle Wiggers, who wrote that article.
I want the Willem Dafoe, sound-alike. Like, find somebody that can do a sound-alike and then get them to agree to let me use their voice to train the AI so we can have the Willem Dafoe
well, they mentioned that, and that would probably be an issue because you could, fake it. Because there's enough training material out there of Willem Dafoe, right? You don't need to hire an actor.
Wow.
So there's going to have to be laws about that. I wish this website wasn't so like hot new website design that doesn't actually show you anything because that's like there's no headline. I didn't look up a news story about this because the website probably has more information than you're going to get anywhere else. It looks really amazing.
It does.
I'm really excited about this. Will it actually do what it's supposed to do?
We'll see. Spin launch represents a major breakthrough in launching satellites into space. How does it launch satellites into space? It spins around really, 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 really fast.
I like to imagine that paragraph on the site. That's all it says. It's just really, really, like just hundreds of reallys, and then fast.
And then it lets go, and it does it in a vacuum. So that whole thing is a vacuum chamber, basically. And then when it pops out the top, there's actually a thin layer of plastic that the thing actually just pops right out of. And so we don't use rocket fuel to do this. We just throw it into orbit.
We just yeet it into space.
Basically, yeah.
Only electricity. So if you had a nuclear reactor, that thing is just self-contained.
I mean, yeeting a small, say Starlink satellite into orbit seems pretty awesome.
Until the payload is off balance by 2 millimeters and it gets launched into the reactor on one rotation. And then that's bad.
Yeah.
But that is, now, obviously not going to be any people on those.
No.
So that's just for getting satellites up there. But we need that.
Yeah.
Imagine how quick Bezos could get his satellites up there.
Yeah, it's just...
I bet it does make a cool noise.
I bet it does too.
We should look into that. Microsoft is really getting into the AI game And I can only imagine that all of these will make us miserable. This is Clippy on steroids.
Microsoft is adding more AI smarts and other new tools to Office. I can definitely tell when people are using or relying a little too hard on tools like Grammarly, and their emails become a little
above their pay grade in
free
terms
of free of meaning.
But it sounds really good.
Yeah.
A lot of big words.
Yeah, and it's like there's no action items in this email. Why did you send this email?
I always get that impression when you see freedom of information stuff or whatever at police reports.
Yeah.
Because police, they're not smart enough to write in a way that might, be good in court, but they try. And it's obvious that they're not that bright.
That word is not really used in this context.
And they try to, it's like when somebody's trying to write in like a medieval voice, but they aren't really that familiar with it and they just get it all wrong. It's hilarious. I love it.
They misunderestimated me.
Or, the suspect did go to. Did go to? Why did you phrase it like that? Oh, it's because you don't.
Did you read this back before?
Drone attacks are nothing new, but usually it's the U.S. government flying them. But now drones are so ubiquitous
Just
that
randos.
Anybody can get in the game.
Iraqi prime minister says that after drone attack on residents, or is safe after there was a drone attack on his residence, the military says. This was apparently just some rando with a drone.
They just had an election, and some of the more extreme political parties lost a couple of seats. And we're not happy about that. We don't know it was them, but it was somebody. 8 people were injured. They didn't manage to kill anybody, though. Do you think the insurance in that country covers drone attacks?
Probably not.
Do they even have the insurance system? Like
Probably not.
Do they have socialized healthcare in any of those Middle Eastern countries?
Yeah, I think so, because otherwise the people would be really on edge and grab your torches and pitchforks and kill everyone.
Shouldn't they be anyway? Shouldn't we be? And this is a story it's information that has just come out about another drone attack, this time not aimed at a human being.
Drone attack used in attack on a U.S. electrical grid last year, report reveals. So this was a drone carrying a copper wire that was trying to drape it over the leads on a transformer, and it just caused the wire to vaporize. It didn't cause any problems. It might have caused a power blip, but it didn't cause any significant problems.
I guess their drone was not strong enough to get braided steel up there.
Yeah, they needed braided steel or a chain. A chain is a cheap way to do that.
Still be pretty heavy for a drone, though, right? Maybe 2 drones, one on each end.
How they make some pretty big
It grips
drones.
it by the husk. Get it?
And we got some astronauts coming home after their long stay on the space station. But that last day, even with all the joy and the emotion of coming back and seeing your family, there will be a bit of a cloud over it. And or maybe not over it, maybe under it.
In the undercarriage.
Yeah.
A broken toilet on the SpaceX capsule means that the astronauts are going to return to Earth in diapers. That's fine. This is fine. This didn't.
Would you even be upset? Would that even ruin your trip?
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't even. This didn't need to be an NPR article. This is purely clickbait.
I don't know. I love the idea when we're like, it's just like, look at this human accomplishment, and they're stepping out of the capsule. It's like, wow, this is such an amazing moment, and you know that there's a full load.
Yeah. I'm getting a rash, guys. Let's get this photo op done.
They are 100% uncomfortable. And when they hug their families, there's probably no smell, right? Because it's airtight in the suit. But yeah. Also, the capsule, the toilet in the capsule broke. Did that break while somebody was using it? And did they have to go back to the station and be like, listen, guys, I'm real sorry about this.
You're about to see some stuff floating around the cabin.
It's embarrassing enough when you have to ask where the plunger is.
Oh, yeah. That's way worse.
The feeling when you're at somebody else's house and you hit the button and the water starts coming
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Imagine that on the space station, how much that's amplified.
I mean, if the toilet fails catastrophically enough, you'll all die.
Just suck you right out. They got to solve that problem. No one can get that right. If you're on the tourist SpaceX flights and the toilet doesn't work, do you get your money back? Because that would ruin your experience.
I think they mentioned that they had problems with that when they had the commercial
building
flight.
a new one, apparently.
The first tourist kid that goes on one of these things, he's going to throw up. And then it's just going to be...
It's just going to be like stuck to your helmet. And you're going to try to wipe it away and it's going to smear it. And then you can't see anything for the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
You're going to have like one little packet of wet wipes trying to clean up your...
I can't wait. I can't wait for National Lampoon's Space Vacation.
What if the kid throwing up triggers your...
And then
gag,
everyone's
and then-
vomiting in the cabin.
But like, yeah, they're just vomit everywhere. And then there's vomit inside the suits.
Oh.
Going to space is...
Mission control can hear people gagging, and then they start vomiting too.
It's a universal... It's just a sea of vomit all over SpaceX. And then there's a rush on the canteen because everybody's hungry.
They have to start putting that in their job descriptions. Must be okay with the sounds of gagging.
Yeah, after they take you out of the centrifuge, they just like jam your head in a bucket of horse manure.
They add that as a new hour of space training. Is they have recordings of that. It's like, I'm sorry, you can't be an astronaut.
You gotta do. It's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do underwater suit training into centrifuge into 2 girls 1 cup, and you have to get through the whole thing.
I was thinking like relaxing sounds to vomit to 1 hour, and then it's just
Lo-fi
that.
beats to vomit to.
Yeah.
Ugh. Well, what do we got for tomorrow?
Did we do security yet?
No, it'll be security nonsense, which is kind of a weird breakdown, but you know, it'll be sad, and then you'll feel happy because it's Friday.
That's nice.
Yeah.
The emotional roller coaster. It's what we all want.
In these trying times. All right, bye. Hello, welcome back. Today is November 19th. We're edging closer to Thanksgiving, and today we're doing security and nonsense. Weird breakdown.
Security. First, we will look at security that could be good for you, but oh boy, are the Sony lawyers busy. They are going to really try to get in front of this.
A pair of PS5 hacks could be the first step towards jailbreaking Sony's latest console. So the hacks are the keys, because some of the encryption keys are console specific, but the master key somebody also got a hold of, so it may not matter.
I think though the problem is, with the update cycle and these being mostly online units, it doesn't make as much sense.
Yeah.
It's much harder to have a cracked console.
Well, it's important though from like an archive standpoint. If you want to be able to play a PS5, in 2037. You're going to have a modified game that doesn't have the online component or has the online component recreated for offline and a modified console, which makes preservation that much more difficult.
Which is exactly the thing that Sony does not want you to be able to do, which is why they build it that way.
Yeah.
Watch Wendell's emulation video for more.
The hacks keep becoming more and more frequent. They keep getting more and more data, and the reason for that seems to be because everybody is keeping everything. They're just stockpiling. They're just spying and piling it up, like the NSA's vision years and years ago. But now everybody's doing it, even down to local police departments.
Transparency activists dump 1.8 terabytes of police helicopter surveillance footage. Theoretically, that should be available through a Freedom of Information request, too. But the 1.8 terabytes shows some really deeply disturbing things. Police just sort of arbitrarily using the content, and they're like, hey, let's point it at that building and see if we can see the people inside the building. Yup, we can. Oh, that's neat, Bill. That's not, we shouldn't use police equipment to do that.
And they didn't have the presence of mind to delete that afterwards.
They're like, oh, we can put that on the hard drive.
Yeah, that's just there forever.
I bet there will be a lot of prosecutions and a lot of things that go down because of this, right?
No. Someday this is going to be used as a data set to train an AI, too.
Someday. Google's already working on this.
So it's already been fed to at least 3 dozen different research projects. What are you talking about?
The NVIDIA helicopter team got this 3 days ago. The infrastructure bill has passed. It passed without most people knowing what was in it. That's how we do that these days in the government. And now we're uncovering all
It's
these...
like Christmas presents. It's like, oh, surprise. And it's like, that's just not a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, it's a Christmas present, but it's all just like you owe other people money or something like that. It's bad surprises for Christmas. And this is one that, we don't know how they'll use this right now, but we do know that the requirement is in there and they have to do something.
Infrastructure bill's drunk driving tech mandate leaves some privacy advocates nervous. So, new monitoring technology for new vehicles in a few years to tell if a driver's intoxicated, or if the technology has reason to believe the driver's intoxicated, it should take action to stop them from driving.
Now, you might be thinking, well, this could save some lives, and you know what? I don't care to blow into a device and everything like that. That's okay. And there's also, they're saying maybe a touch device. They're in the works that could do this. But think about this. The device does not only have to know that you blow clean for alcohol. It has to know that you're the one driving the car. Someone else in the car isn't blowing for you, which means there has to be a camera at all times. Which means that camera has to feed back to whoever is measuring whether or not you're doing the right thing.
Which is going to be another one of those data sets.
Which is going to get leaked. And you're going to be picking your nose in your car, blowing into your breathalyzer, and we're going to see
I was going to say, there's just going to be a lot of photos of everyone blowing into that, and that's going to be terrible.
And you might think that that's innocent enough, but someone will think of your engagement challenge is, what can you do with that data set that is like the darkest timeline thing? Because we can't even conceive of it now, but it will happen.
Well, one thing they can do is instant location data, right? Because it's going to timestamp and GPS stamp every time you blow into it.
Yeah.
And they're kind of already doing that. It's just a little bit worse. And cybersecurity, we are terrible at it. We cannot stop them from getting in. We can't stop them from stealing the data. We can't stop them from stealing the crypto. But we are moderately good at trying to catch them afterwards.
The BBC News, the headline is Revolt, the day of reckoning for notorious cyber gang. I think this is a rehash of the article from Monday. There's a little bit more and different information here. This makes it seem like it's an absolute win for law enforcement, but really, I think they just got two of the low-level functionaries that had millions of dollars, to be sure. But
6 million.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's not. There's more.
Yeah, sure, a lot more. But you got to roll your wins out when you can, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Make people think you're doing something.
So the next generation of ransomware people need to have some patsies set up so that then they can disappear and the patsies can be handed over to law enforcement. Everybody wins.
I think you're right. I think that's what just happened there. Yeah. So good job, ransomware people. And hey, we're going to give you these two that we don't care about, and we're going to give you 6 million.
Yeah, you get a tiny percentage back of the money that we've collected.
This is your administrative fee. Thank you for opening up your networks.
You can use the money you collected to pay for their lifetime jail sentences.
Now, this story is in the security section for 2 reasons. One is obvious, because this is a security event, although it's not necessarily like an online security event. But more importantly, is what's going to happen now that they know exactly which cards were stolen. That's the security concern.
Truckload of GPUs stolen on their way out of San Francisco. NVIDIA partner EVGA has already voided the warranty and said that whoever nabbed them maybe will be flushed out due to the lack of warranty. Or if they try to sell them and then people try to register their cards, they'll have clues about where the cards went.
So they can turn off your NVIDIA cards remotely if they don't like you.
Well, not turn it off, but like if you try to register it, it's not going to work.
Oh, well, they're not telling you that they can do that. But do you really think that they can't?
It's probably only 1 or 2 steps away where it's like, oh, your serial number is not a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you hear? Sorry.
Is it boiler snake?
Yeah. So what is that I'm hearing over there?
That is the wind. So
right, yeah.
That's the wind coming in from the first floor coming up.
Oh, I was wondering if there was like a mouse over there. I was like trying to see, but
yeah, we're in some insane wind conditions right now.
Yeah, remember, the old building was designed to breathe. So at the ceiling level, there's all this airflow to like let air move around through everything, which is kind of cool. But also it gets weird when you like start stuffing and blocking things with those natural air passages.
Well,
I was hoping to see a mouse, but
why would you hope for a mouse?
Because they're cute.
No.
You want to get some in your house?
No, the barn cats take care of that.
You need some regular cats, Krista.
I've been looking.
I thought we've been talking about getting a cat for a long time.
We have been. We haven't gone to look at any yet.
Well, this is our hack of the week, and it is a big name. And oddly enough, they kind of downplayed this. Like they really did not. Like I have an account with them. You know what sucks is for tax reasons, I have to keep that account open, even though I don't want to be in business with them anymore. And they get to keep my data for 6 years because of the SEC. I can't escape them for another 6 years.
Not just the SEC, IRS too.
Disgusting.
Robinhood says that it was hacked and extorted, but nobody lost any money. The online trading company said a hacker obtained the email addresses of 5 million users and the full names of 2 million users.
I kind of doubt that's all, right?
Yeah.
That's not very... I mean, if you're a hacker, you're not going to stop there.
Seems like no.
That's a useless data set. You want more than that. Or maybe they were good enough to... It was social engineering. They identified the exact person who... They got him on the phone.
Oh,
Charmed him into it.
that's why you never get on the phone.
Well, Robinhood certainly goes a long way of not giving you anybody to talk to on the phone, that's for sure. Especially after the game stonks, I bet. This story should make you just like blood should shoot out of your nose and your ears, and you should start just smashing your screen and running out in the streets. You won't, but you should.
Denuvo-Protected game rendered unplayable after the domain expired. So this affected a lot of Denuvo-Protected games for a few hours, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before that. And it was just because the domain expired.
Whoops.
Don't you feel good about that DRM? But that is not our only DRM story this week, and this one is maybe a little worse. You see these new CPUs, they've got special cores. And DRM looks for things like special processors.
This is different.
And
I don't know what this is.
Yeah,
No.
this is not the same. This must be a second computer. You're using a second computer for targeting. We know what you're doing.
These 50-plus PC games are incompatible with Alder Lake CPUs due to DRM. So Intel is literally using their 800-pound gorilla status to, bludgeon fixes for these games, but there's still a lot of games that are affected by this.
So where's the list? There we go.
Ooh, that's a lot of them.
Anthem with that Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Remember when AMD launched and the reason they had problems with some games was their random number generator was actually broken? But they fixed that. And then this is like, oh yeah, it doesn't work.
This is Windows 10 only.
Well, they fixed, Shadow of the Tomb Raider and some of those other ones are fixed, but can still, it's fixed, but still maybe some weird glitches.
That's even worse.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, did the game crash? Or was that just because it got scheduled on the small core at just the wrong time? Could go either way.
It's repulsive. But not as repulsive as this. And this is going to be everyone's life from now on. I don't see this not happening in any way. I don't see anybody being able to stand up to this.
Microsoft will now snitch on you at work like never before. This is actually a repeat of a story from 2 years ago where Microsoft was going to turn some of this stuff on, and they delayed. They're turning that stuff on, but now also even more stuff on top of that. So the features have always been there. They just were like, oh, was this a little tone deaf? Because originally it was going to roll out in Skype for Business, and then Teams, and then
Skype for Business.
some other things. And so now it's also in the browser. So if you use the corporate browser, Microsoft can give you telemetry on, oh, these people are doing some unsafe things in the browser. Or unsafe is like visiting
Pornhub.
eBay.
Pornhub for sure. Yeah. Well, sad. I suppose this is where you pitch Linux, right? But it's at your workplace.
You got Edge on Linux.
Oh, right. Yeah. You and that other guy. Well, Peloton, the hot exercise bike company, I think they moved into some other features as well. They always had a weird business model, which was you pay a lot of money for your equipment, and then you pay a monthly fee to keep using it.
That makes me furious. I don't have one. I don't ever intend on getting one, but it makes me furious that that's a thing.
Now, you could argue that after a couple of years of that, people are figuring out, hey, times are getting tough, inflation is up. I don't need this subscription. This is something I should easily cut out of my life. This should be the first thing I get rid of. But Peloton says no. It's Tim Cook's fault.
They stumbled and pulled out a popular excuse. It's partly Apple's fault. So Gizmodo talks about how their finances aren't real good. Probably something to do with the aforementioned subscriptions. But they say, no, we can't advertise as effectively anymore for people that want our products, and therefore we're not selling new products, and that's why our numbers aren't as good.
There probably is some truth to the fact that Peloton is a churn company, right? Like you probably pick somebody up, you hit them real big in the beginning, and you get like 6-7 months out of them, and then you lose them. If you can't do that constantly, you're in trouble. So you got to keep advertising.
That sounds like an MLM with extra steps.
More automated.
Yeah.
But you can post on social media and be like, look, I biked for 2 hours today in the Andes.
You were just in your house.
You were eating chips. And this is just it's
sad.
It's a sad story, but it's adorable video because you get to see it.
Deer spotted in Michigan with plastic pumpkin stuck over its face. So the firefighters are looking for it, but
they haven't found it.
oh no,
They did find it, but
There he is.
it's
Bless him.
You can't argue that that's not hilarious.
I was just trying to eat some candy corn, and then this happened.
I like how he's still moving his head like he can see.
Probably can see a little bit.
Maybe.
Deer aren't super intelligent.
So they did catch it, but like as they were trying to wrangle it, it got away.
Oh.
And so they weren't able to get They did say that it felt like when they were handling it that it was in good condition. And so they're hoping it can maybe do it on its own. But they are looking for it.
This is gonna be like the La Palma dogs. I hope we get like a follow-up story where they got out.
What's the headless horseman pun there? What was the real guy's name?
Ichabod Crane.
yeah.
Yeah. How do you adjust Ichabod Crane to be a deer with a pumpkin on its head? Engagement challenge. And the Canadians have had their own hacking incident, and more, it seems like these monsters have figured out an easy target is healthcare.
NL Healthcare cyber attack is the worst in Canadian history, says a cybersecurity expert. It has real impacts on human life and safety. They got everything. They locked everything down. Everything was so centralized and controlled that they crippled not just one or a few hospitals, but an entire chain.
That is, I guess this is common knowledge, but like our hospital system, and I guess Canada's too, is built on these health networks. They're these giant conglomerates that own all the hospitals in a given area. It's crazy. And corrupt. Krista, we know that you're terrified of black holes.
Right.
And perhaps you have found some sense of security in the fact that black holes, in order to continue to grow and become more powerful, have to consume, right? And at some point, they're going to run out of material to consume, right? But you might be wrong. They might never stop growing.
Black holes may gain mass from the expansion of the universe itself. There's no stopping them. Oh, that's a great photo of one as well. Illustration photo.
One of the first ones
Yeah.
we ever took. Of course, it's not a photo of a black hole. It's the photo of a black hole with things falling into it. Because you can't see the black hole. But yeah, they might just keep getting bigger forever. I don't know what that means for humanity. Nothing good.
Probably kill ourselves before that becomes a problem, right?
Oh, yeah.
We can only hope.
We're going to be a blink in the eye of a black hole.
Some scientist somewhere is going to be like, wow, I've created an artificial singularity, and then 5 minutes later the Earth's not here anymore.
It's going to be that spin launcher thing.
The black hole eats the planet. It's like, oh, that tasted a little off.
the alien civilization historian is going to be like, then an Earth scientist named Bob Smith was doing research on making a tastier peanut butter when he accidentally created a singularity which destroyed the planet and solar system.
And every record of all of humankind's accomplishments.
It's like he was working on making more flavorful peanut butter. How does that result in the creation of a singularity?
Bob Smith, previously famous for being the second man to use Edge in Linux.
Who was the first? We don't know. All the records were lost when he made the singularity.
We in this country are suffering financially. Inflation is up. Pay has not kept pace with it. Prices are out of control, and people's savings are dwindling after 2 years.
People are sending other people giant bottles of Jif as a kindness.
I think you're unique in that regard. I don't think there's a lot of peanut butter gifts going around in the country right now. Maybe there is. I don't know. But there is another superlative that is a very, very bad sign.
Number of credit cards in the U.S. hits an all-time high. Open credit card accounts in the U.S. This chart here is insane. I saw another. This is the Axios version of the article. I saw another version of this that just said American debt is at an all-time high. It is probably the subprime mortgage crisis all over again. Remember when they were bundling good mortgages with like toxic, awful, McMansion mortgages?
I do remember. You know who else remembers? The credit card company. Right here it is. Ew, that was 2008.
Yeah.
Yep. Seems like we're on a similar trajectory, but higher.
Yeah.
Wow. Could the fall be bigger?
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. Chris, did you ever get a credit card?
We have one that we use for like household expenses. but it gets paid off at the end of every month.
You gotta maximize on that. Oh, actually, I know that hubby does the same thing that I do because he turned me on to. He goes further than I do. He runs the Discover 6-month. Tries to keep track of the one, like, okay, today we're going to use this card because it's 5% off today.
Oh,
whereas
yeah.
next month it's going to be something else.
Yeah, he likes to try to get all the rewards and stuff.
I'm not willing to do that.
It's
Although
like Pokemon, you got to collect them all.
with the inflation game, I found myself during the inflation game. It's like, all right, I'm going to go online here and I'm going to clip the online coupons.
Yeah, we do. We look at the advertiser that we get from the grocery store when we go.
We should build an AI that can use like the Kroger and the ClickShip application to automatically just do everything, but in a way that's not hideously evil like Honey.
That sounds like a Devember project.
They have a horrible UI. It's a show more, infinitely scrolling list, but you have to click show more. So our AI, if we're going to screen scrape that, it would be very complicated and annoying. And then you have to add those items to your cart through that same menu. It's all overlays.
It's designed not to be usable.
Meijer has a really nasty online ordering. It looks good, but it's not user friendly. Astro World, I still don't understand. I know that we once did a news story about the guy that was on stage here with his Happy Meal. Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I still don't know who he is or what he does.
He's a performer.
Is he a rapper, R&B?
I think he's a rapper.
So obviously he commands a large crowd, but things got a little weird. But that's not what this story is about. What this story is about is in the immediate aftermath of the weirdness, we got some scary, scary reports from the police chief. Where did he get that information? He made it up.
Police confirmed that nobody was stabbed with drugs at Astro World. Houston police chief who perpetuated the rumor that somebody was injecting people with drugs has admitted that is not true. Although the medical examiner said something, but no.
The medical examiner said, yeah, we've looked at these people. There's no fentanyl in anybody.
I saw stabbed with drugs and I was imagining just like a marijuana joint that had been filed down to a point. And like, that's what I was imagining. I was like, stabbed with drugs.
Yeah, this guy had, so I think one of the security guards was embarrassed at how easily he was taken down. Because they just like smacked him on the head and he went down like a bag of laundry. And I think this was his way of being like, I don't know, man, I felt a prick. Because he did say he felt a pinprick before he went out. But what he felt was somebody smashed him in the head. Mm-hmm. So completely made up. Every major news organization ran with that story. No one checked it out.
That was a chaotic event.
Now this one turned out to be a 2014 event.
What?
But they ran the story November 3rd. Did Insider just desperately need
We just needed some filler.
a headline? And so did we.
It was in the backlog for a long time.
Because we didn't have a lot of nonsense stories this week, so here it is.
Woman had to make a 9 porta potty stop while running a marathon and achieved a personal record. So she ate a bunch, but she had to stop at all the porta potties on the route, but she still had a personal best record for the run.
I really the way they portray her is great because they point out her personality. Like, she's constantly doing marathons and she's, it's obviously in shape and she's that kind of girl. But on the other end, she's so undisciplined that the day before the marathon, she's out like eating Mexican food. She had a big, like, disgusting fast food breakfast right before the run. She got there 20 minutes late.
Oops.
What a
That's
great
fine.
gal. Now, Krista, as I was just saying, you have got to start making NFTs.
I don't think I can compete with the brilliance of this guy.
I can't imagine we're going to hang on to the monetization this week. But the thing about it is, the reason that this guy's making so much money, he did not go to the usual sites where you sell NFTs. He went to the new site, of course, that we've all heard of, that's now a household name, CumRocket.
Oh, of course. Where else? You want me to read it? Naughty NFT artist Dick Cassos makes $100,000 in 12 days hawking pixel penises.
So, of course, we've got hits like Dongosaurus Rex and the Groin Ninja. I got to admit, they're creative. And they are interesting to look at. But would you pay $3,700 for one?
Someone did.
Someone did.
Or someone needed
Would you
to
hang
launder.
that in your dining room?
Someone needed to launder a lot of money.
I mean, they are hilarious. I like how his abs are the veins.
It's creative.
So now he does not actually have that amount in money. What he has is several million cummies.
Oh,
Which
Lord.
are less than 1 cent per cummy.
What year is that?
The pipe. The names are so good.
It's not a pipe.
Well, he's smoking a pipe.
It was an art history joke.
Also, it turns out that this guy is the number one, but close on his heels are all the OnlyFans girls who have figured out that they can NFT their bodies.
Oh.
So you can see what's coming up on him there. I think that's a safe for work picture.
Let's hope so.
Oh, man. That guy's life has changed. And imagine like you're suddenly rich and it's like you go on a date and it's like, oh, what do you do for your living?
I would just not explain
How
that.
did you make your money?
We're not going to talk about that.
You could just say NFTs and she'd probably be like, oh, that's fine. Or I sell artwork, but then don't talk about the artwork.
And then she's going to be like, oh, can you show me some of your artwork?
There's a penis smoking a pipe.
I mean, I don't even know that if I would know what that is unless you told me that because it's so pixelated.
What if she, like...
You could say it's a mushroom, right?
What if against all your expectations, she doesn't take it the wrong way and she's just like, oh, what was your motivation for this?
What's your artist statement?
I wanted to get in on the tulip bulb mania. That was the motivation.
Well, I figured this story fit well in nonsense just because there's not really a tech tie-in, but this is the kind of thing where it's just like, why do we accept this kind of stuff from our leaders? Why do we tolerate this?
Revealing Johnson's talks with BP is not, quote-unquote, in the public interest, the UK government says, because the public doesn't have an interest in knowing what the Prime Minister and BP talked about at the climate thing.
The quote was something like, it would threaten the candor of everybody involved if they thought this would be revealed. So in other words, if these people knew that you plebs got to hear what they would say, they wouldn't actually discuss anything.
Can we have like a memo after the fact then that's like, here's what we discussed? And
Here's an
agreed on?
outline, bullet
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, I mean, something? I mean, come on.
No, you can't have that. You can't have anything.
I don't want our politicians' candor threatened. Candor.
I don't know how much candor Joe Biden has. Well, having a spy camera on the front of your house, probably a bad idea. It does increase your security, I suppose, but it also limits your privacy, and it can lead to these amazing moments.
Doorbell camera records California woman giving birth on lawn. I thought this was some sort of... I was prepared for this to be really horrible. It was her and her husband. They were like, let's get in the car to go, because they're only 5 minutes
Go
from the
poop the
hospital.
baby, yeah.
And then there was like, oh, there's no time. And so it happened on the lawn. But I thought she was alone, and she's like, I can drive myself to the hospital. And then it was like, no, I'm never going to be able to do that. But no, she wasn't alone, so that's good.
She took a one look at the leather in that car, in that passenger seat, and she was like, no, let's do it here.
I mean,
I'm making that up. That's not true. It is hilarious because she said she felt like a cow giving birth there on the lawn. And then when they did take her to the hospital afterwards, because obviously, you got to go through all the song and dance. And she said that they were like the nurses had weird looks on their face and they were like picking grass and straw out of her hair. She was like, yes, I gave birth on the lawn like a cow.
Sometimes it just happens that way. Sometimes it's fast.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, no, you got to hold it in. You got to
Just
hold
hold the baby. That's not how it
I
works.
don't think that's...
Once you're at a certain dilation, that baby comes out.
And NFTs, again, I will point out that the coming world that we're going to live in is going to be horrible, and NFTs are going to be a big part of that. If you're wondering how fast that will happen, it will happen insanely fast, as in already in motion.
The world's largest record company is creating an NFT supergroup. Kingship, consisting of 4 virtual apes, reimagines the idea of a band and a brand.
Oh, I can't scroll.
This just sounds like the gorillas with extra steps.
It is literally that. If you remember the famous apes that were sold for an insane amount of money, it gave you the full rights to use them for whatever you wanted. When you bought that NFT, you owned the ape outright, which is what they're doing with these. It's those same apes. Yeah.
Reimagining the idea of a band. The gorillas already did this.
Well, if the world's largest record company is in on this, you know how terrible it is.
These apes are cool, but they're no Dongosaurus Rex.
That's the standard to which everything is held now. I'm really not looking forward to the NFT. Everything is monetized in a digital realm, but it's not like anything you actually own. It's just an idea.
If you can get it, if you can pick which one is going to go to the moon and get in on the ground floor of it, you could become mega rich. But there's going to be so many.
It's so terrifying.
A lot of people are going to, they're going to lose their shirts on this stuff. You're going to buy the wrong penis NFT, and it's going to ruin your life.
It's going to be an Antiques Roadshow in 20 years. And
It's a counterfeit.
You can tell here that this is an original digital representation of the pipe by the veining.
It's very subtle. And then, he puts his signature down here, too.
Look closely at the frenulum. Now, this points out that this was done in the early 2021 before the style changed.
There's some old person there, like, they're listening very intently, as they do on Antique Roadshow.
Now, some of these have gone at auction for $2 million. Unfortunately, this one would probably only bring $12 at auction because...
And then it plays the sound.
They got to walk you through, like, they got to do the backstory and everything because they got to fill time. It's like, well, my grandmother was on Cum Rocket.
But it's bleeped in the future.
No, because it'll be like Taco Bell. There'll be a giant.
Remember Idiocracy? It's like you go to, it's like well, let's go to Starbucks. It's like we don't have time for that right now.
In 2035, Cum Rocket is going to be to America what Samsung is to Korea.
Level 1 predictions.
Please join our Patreon or Flow Blame.
Because we're sure not getting paid for this one.
Nope.
All right.
Anyway, we'll see you guys. Bye.